What is one of your unpopular knitting opinions?
Make the swatch.
For everything? Hey, welcome back to Project Notes. It's so good to see you back here on the channel. I have a very special episode for you all today. Earlier this summer, I had the opportunity to interview knitwear designer Jessica Antonio-Notarianni. I volunteered to test knit one of her new patterns this year, and I had so much fun in the test group. I decided to reach out to her to see if she would be open to sitting down and doing an interview for the Project Notes community. And I was so excited when she said yes. We filmed this interview this past summer, so you'll notice the difference in my hair. I do have my braids in now. Then I was just wearing it out. But it was such a great interview. We laughed, we kikied. We had so much fun in the interview. So I hope you all are ready to enjoy hearing about Jessica's knitting background, her story, but also to learn about, the knitting and design process from her. Jessica is an absolute wealth of information, and I'm so excited that she was willing to be on the channel to record an episode. Before we jump to the interview, I want to show you a project, a long-term project that I've been working on that I do mention during the video, just so you can see it. In the interview, Jessica and I talk a lot about gauge and tension, and I mention the half and half triangle wrap and how I've seen changes in my tension. I haven't shown this on the channel in quite some time, but this project has been going on for about 3 years now. Now, it doesn't take 3 years to knit the half and half triangle wrap, but it is just a side project that I've been regularly working on. I pick it up and put it down whenever I can. This blue color, I can't remember the name of it. I just think it's so pretty. It has like this nice blue-green tint to it. The pink is Pink Pop, and it's just been great to have an easy pick up and throw down project. But one of the results of that is because I've been knitting on it for so long, my tension and gauge has changed a little bit. So just so you know what we're talking about and the project I was talking about, this is it. And I love the Pearl Soho yarn that I've been working with. If you're going to work with a yarn for 3 years, make it Pearl Soho linen quill. Pearl Soho's linen quill is a great yarn to work with. If you're interested in seeing more of their yarns or even purchasing it, I do have an affiliate link down below that you can use. If you do click on the link, it does go to supporting the Project Notes channels. That way I can continue to create content. And if not, I just hope you enjoy looking at all the beautiful yarns on their website. The interview is about 45 minutes. So get comfortable, get your knitting, get your crochet, get your tea, get your drink of choice, and hang out and sit with us as we talk about all of the knitting. One final thing I do want to mention, in my last episode, I'll put a link to it somewhere in the description and up above. I did share that I was doing a yarn giveaway. Now, to give more people time, I am extending the deadline to November 30th. And to enter that contest, you have to watch the last video on the channel, the one where I take you to LA, and you have to like the video, give it a comment, and be subscribed, and that will put you in the drawing for it. And then in the next episode, I will go ahead and announce the winner. That way, the winner gets a nice little holiday present from me. Now, let's get to the interview. So I don't think I ever told you, but I think I've been following you on Instagram for several years.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a stalker, I promise. But I found your Instagram account through your Happy Mail. Go to your Instagram account to find out about new indie dyers. That's how I found out and started following you. And I think I've been following you for a couple years now.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, the Happy Mail thing, I might need to slow down on that, but but it makes me so happy.
It's Happy Mail. I totally get it. It's like I get my packages, I'm like, yes, and then I'm like, gotta use it now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not using as fast as I'm getting.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I have a very special guest here with us today. I have been teasing this top. I'll throw in some pictures so you can see it on this channel because I've just loved having a nice summer top. But the designer of the Stick Together tee is with us here today. Jessica, say hi, Jessica.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Jessica, this is a really fun group at Project Notes. We just like to have fun here, nerding out about yarns, patterns, all of that good stuff. Jessica also goes by @fuchsia_12knits on Instagram. She is the creative mind behind f12knit.com, where she shares her love for color, texture, and modern knit and crochet design. Blending playful stitches with wearable style, her work celebrates slow fashion and the artistry of handmade. Through Jessica's designs, tutorials, and creative explorations, she inspires fiber lovers to stitch with confidence and joy. Join me again in welcoming Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so everyone, just so you know, I did send Jessica a handful of questions. I didn't want to do any gotchas, but I really wanted to get inside the mind of someone who designs knitwear patterns, another fiber lover like ourselves. And so we have a list of questions that she's going to go through. I will ask them and she will answer them. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay, so the first question is, what is your knitting story? When did you start? Who taught you? And how long have you been knitting for?
So I started off knitting at the age of 7, and my mother is the one that taught me how to knit. She probably wouldn't have taught me if I wasn't as nosy as I was as a 7-year-old. And I mean that in the nicest way. I was exploring and looking for treasures in her belongings, and I stumbled upon very big, size 19 probably, or knitting needles, and I thought, wait, you know how to knit? How come you never taught me? And she finally did. She taught me how to sew when I was a little bit younger than that, and but crafts and everything with my mom was like a thing. We did a lot of crafting together, arts projects and stuff, and then she finally taught me how to knit, something I felt like I always wanted to do for some reason. It was like, it's like almost in my DNA type of thing. And it turns out it was. My mom and my family tell me I'm a lot like my great grandmother, very prolific in terms of making projects and always keeping my hands busy, and that was kind of her to a T. So I'm kind of humbled. I only got to spend a few years with her when she was alive, so it was kind of cool to keep that going and like a little part of her.
I think it's amazing how knitting and fiber arts and crafts can connect us to the past. I also learned to knit when I was very young from my mom, and then I dropped it, picked it up 10 years ago again. But it's a great connection to the women in my family, my culture, all of that. So it's great to hear that's kind of a similar story too.
Yeah. So it was it's definitely been a huge part of my life. I did put it down, over the years, but I always went back to it. It wasn't too far.
Okay, so my next question is, are you a gift knitter or a selfish knitter?
So that question, I feel it has a loaded answer. I love gift knitting. I make so much. It's slowed down since I've had kids, but I've made so much that I have to give it away because there's just there's no other place for it to go. But I usually find someone special, like, I made this, I thought it was for me, but it really is for you. Because it just seems to suit you, or you showed interest in it, and I don't mind giving it to somebody that's gonna be worthy of holding on to my hand knits or hand crocheted items.
You have a very giving heart when it comes to the things you make.
Yeah, exactly.
Next question. Are you a process knitter or a project knitter?
I'm gonna say I'm a process knitter. I really enjoy the process. Don't get me wrong, I like to have a finished object and here and there, but the whole process of picking the yarn and color combos and figuring out a problem or issue that I might have with the pattern, or if I made a mistake, like troubleshooting that. Like that stuff excites me.
Was there ever a point where you were more project on the spectrum rather than process? Was there ever a project like that, or something you wanted to?
So I'll say yes. And I feel like it's not a consistent thing. Like I definitely always like the process usually, but sometimes I have to shut that little part of me off so I can get something done. Whether it's a commission or something that I'm not really interested in making, but I need to make it. So yeah, I do occasionally do that. Like tried to do Christmas gifts one year and was running a little short on time. So it was kind of like, okay, just got to get this done.
There's definitely a due date with that, with Christmas knitting.
Yeah, Christmas, holidays, birthdays, baby showers, whatever.
So you said something interesting. I'm going to ask a bonus question. You said you do commissions. What type of commissions do you do?
So I try to take very little commissions throughout the year.
So y'all do email her with your beanie requests.
Yeah, exactly. So baby blankets, sometimes booties, hats. Majority of the time it's hats. And I've been recently getting more Christmas stockings and kind of redoing family heirlooms because the person that made their heirlooms are no longer there, or stuff like that. And yeah, and I think my next one is kind of fun, and I'm looking forward to trying to figure out how this is going to work. It's a Halloween decoration for a very large window. Home. So it's gonna be big, and I'm hoping it works out the way I'm planning it. So we'll see how that goes.
Is this gonna be knit or crochet?
I'm definitely gonna crochet it. I think that would work better than knitting it. It's a big spider web decoration with some sparkle and or beads being added to it. So yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
A giant crocheted spider web.
Person is very into Halloween. I'm kind of excited.
That is really exciting to hear about. I'll have that on the front of my mind for a while because I have to do Halloween decorations too.
Oh, good idea.
What is the inspiration behind your knitting patterns?
So I find inspiration in many places. Usually I can go off of a stitch pattern in like the Stitch Dictionary, or I can get inspiration from fast fashion in terms of like colors that go together that they've paired with certain outfits or shoes, like basically anything and everything, especially nature, colors in nature, things that are playing the sunset, architecture, everything.
It sounds like life. You're inspired by just
life. There you go. That's like the best way to put it. Thank you.
Who do you imagine wearing your designs when you create a knitwear pattern?
I'm trying to make it for myself. This is something I would like to wear, but when I'm publishing stuff, I want my pattern to be for everyone. Anybody that wants to wear it, feels that would work for their body type, whatever it is that is drawing them to it. I just want people to enjoy it. It's okay if you don't. If I'm not your cup of tea, that's fine. But I try to be as inclusive as I can. So I'm glad that there's different body types, different people's styles that are able to utilize my patterns. From punk rocky to very kind of posh stylings. Like it seems to be going across the board, which I really like. It's a little melting pot.
You mentioned stitch patterns, and the first thing I thought, and why I volunteered for the test knit when I saw it, is the daffodil stitch pattern.
Dandelion stitch, yeah.
Dandelion. This is so cute. It was so addictive, and it made the top go by so quickly. And then when you sent out the pattern to testers, by the way, you have a phenomenal group of testers. I could tell that many of them had tested for you before. You've got some ride or dies with you for sure. But I just love this. It made it go fast. And then you gave so many different ways we could customize it. You opened it up to the one I chose, the I cords, which is great because I live in a desert, so I can just wear it all summer long because it's not a long sleeve, it's not a medium sleeve, it's just something open I can wear.
Oh, perfect. I'm glad that it worked so well for you. And yeah, I'm totally open to modifications. So anybody listening that's a tester and would like to test, even if you're a beginner, like, you're always welcome. I don't really require you to really finish. I just want to make sure that the pattern reads well and that the numbers are right. So please come.
Where do you post? Also, another segue question. Where should people follow you to find out information that you are going to be posting a test knit? Because I saw that, y'all, she's got another pattern she's going to be testing. It's this same one, but in a cardigan, like a DK or a fingering weight cardigan. Say somebody were interested in that, how would they contact you?
So yeah, you can contact me either through my website or through my Instagrams. You'll most likely see the posting on my Instagram page. And I do have 2 pages, the at fuchsia_12 knits with a Z, or you can also do F12KNC designs on the Instagram page, and all of those are linked in my bio.
Okay, I'll make sure to put all that information on the screen, and it'll also be in the description box down below for anyone who's interested in following Jessica's account or just learning more about her test knit calls. Let's go on to the next question because I got so excited I skipped ahead. What do you want us to know about your most recent pattern, the Stick Together T DK? And by DK, I mean DK weight.
Yeah, so that pattern was really just fun. I had so much fun with the first one that I did that I just had to do a lighter weight as well, just to help for those people that are in warmer climates too.
Me.
I just really enjoyed that whole process, and I want to really thank my tech editor, Sue Hillsop. She is absolutely amazing, and has really elevated my patterns. She's elevated my patterns, so it's definitely better for the user. I'm more concerned about the people trying to use my patterns. So if she's made my sizing more concise and within, size inclusivity guidelines, so that's been a real big help, and I just can't say how thankful I am for all her help and guidance with the tech editing for my patterns.
Tech editors are so important. People don't really talk enough, I think, about tech editors. I always assume that a designer is working with a tech editor, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes the designer is the tech editor.
And that's where you kind of draw some issues in terms of designing. Some are very good, but you don't catch your mistakes as easily. And even like when I was in college, I would constantly re-edit my work. There's something that you might have missed because you kind of glossed over it. I know that I would make mistakes, and it's always good to have a few eyes check over your pattern. Even if you don't use a tech editor, although I highly recommend it, at least have a few eyes and friends who are very critical thinking and are good at editing in some ways. They will help you catch your mistakes.
So it sounds like designing is a team sport. The designer team lead puts the vision together,
right?
Knows how they want it to look, but you need the tech editor to be that second set of eyes. And then the testers, whether they're close friends or volunteers, they're the ones who get their hands on it so that they can see other issues or just create a great product out of what you've made.
Right, exactly. It's definitely a team effort. And I really appreciate all the help that I get. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So there's definitely much appreciation and gratitude for everyone.
I got a great top out of it, so I am totally happy.
Yeah, same here. That's my sentiment too when I test. Like, oh, this is fantastic. I learned something new, possibly. And I get a cute garment out of it. That's great.
And sometimes you make friends too. A lot of the people that I was in the test group with, I ended up following, and it just opens up a whole nother world of knitting, because it's like, oh, your stuff is so cool. And you had some indie dyers as part of your test group. You had just super knitters part of your test group, and you had people like me, casual, just kind of hanging out, seeing what's going on.
Hey, it's all good. I mean, this whole community has been so wonderful. So I can't say anything. I can't say anything too bad.
Mm-hmm. How do you want knitters to feel after they complete one of your patterns?
I want the makers of my patterns to feel happy about the process, as well as their finished item. And I want them to be pleased with how their work came out. And also, if there is an issue, that they feel comfortable coming to me to tell me and give me constructive feedback, because that's important too. Like, my testers are one thing, but my customers also, your feedback is important so I can help make my patterns better in future. I don't want to get stigmatized or marked off because of one faux pas, like, or one bad pattern or something. Like, just don't write me off just yet.
It seems like knitting patterns, I've never written one. I've created like my own beanie out of like a stitch pattern before, but it is a lot of trial and error, and you make a lot of mistakes too along the way. Like I make mistakes as someone who knits. I can imagine that designers, it's natural to make mistakes too, but I love that you were so open to the feedback of your customers. Like, hey, just shoot her an email, shoot her a message, let her know. So, we can all enjoy the final product.
I've had issues with Ravelry, not per se the platform itself, but just like coupon codes didn't work right, or something was canceling something out. So if you ever have an issue getting like the discount or something that's offered, just message me. It's probably something I did.
We're all learning and growing.
Yeah.
Okay, so here comes the next question. What is one of your unpopular knitting opinions?
Make the swatch.
For everything?
I mean, especially if you're testing.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly for testing for me. And it's also for garments. Like, I have to swatch for a garment. If I don't, that's just asking for trouble. You gotta do all that work and have the thing not fit you. I mean, granted, you could give it to somebody else, but really.
So let me ask, do you swatch for like smaller items like beanies or socks, or do you swatch mainly for garments?
I mainly do it for garments. And like I said before, testing. If I'm testing your pattern, I'm probably gonna swatch just so that I'm not wasting my time or yours.
Mm-hmm.
But I mostly do it for garments. That's my main thing.
I love the way you laid it down. No sugar on top. Make the swatch, everybody.
Yes, make the swatch. I mean, there's some times where you can get around it, but I know for me, my gauge changed for like a few years ago. It used to be kind of spot on with most of the designers' gauges. And then one year it was just not, and it's just not been back to that ever since. So I just swatch anyway. And also, if you know the yarn that you've worked with before, and also you've done maybe this person's patterns before, you probably can get around it. But I still recommend swatching because you never know.
you never know, especially when it comes to test knitting. Like I feel like, at least when I've test knit or anything, one of the requirements the designers always have is to do a test swatch. Some of the designers go as far as to say, send me a picture of your test swatch, so that you did not do that. But I've tested it for designers who've said that. But I understand why, because as a tester, my job is to give you the feedback on the design, but also based on the gauge I achieved.
Right.
I'm actually working on another test knit. I've got to get on it a little bit later today. But if I did not swatch it, the sweater called for US 6 needles. If I did not swatch it, I would have ended up with a huge monstrosity because I met gauge on US 4 needles, which is a big difference.
Yeah, the two needle sizes down is quite a big difference. I would say the only time that I really have issues with getting gauge is only with crochet patterns. That swatch lies.
It lies. Okay.
At least to me. I don't know if that happens to anybody else, but I'm typically having to go down at least 3 hook sizes to try and get the gauge, and then I measure it about 20 times to make sure it didn't change.
Okay, so since you said swatch, block the swatch or leave it unblocked?
I do whatever the pattern tells me. So if this is a swatch that is with finished measurements, blocked, I will block it. How I block it is also consistent. So if I'm blocking the swatch by steaming it, I'm going to steam the garment or whatever it is as well. If I'm wet blocking my swatch, I'm going to wet block the finished item as well.
You mentioned that your knit swatch, your crochet swatches have lied.
Oh,
has your knit swatches ever lied to you?
No, not as much as the crochet one. I want to say like maybe once or twice I've had a discrepancy with my knit swatches over the last decade. But my crochet ones, oh no.
So what you're saying is the knitting swatch is more honest than the crochet swatch. You got to watch the crochet.
I feel like it's probably because I crochet enough, but I want to say it's because I'm not as consistent with my crochet. I've been knitting longer than I've been crocheting. I learned a little bit after, but I mostly knit. Like I could do a little bit of crochet, but it's not been consistent. So I think that consistency helps. And some people don't vary as much with their crocheting gauge as much as I do. I probably say my knitting is usually pretty on par unless something is going on in the background, like what happened to me a few years ago, then yeah.
I thought it was interesting too that you said that your swatch tension has changed over the years. Mm-hmm. It's the same for me too. Okay. I used to be spot on.
Yeah.
Then sometime in the last 2 years, it's rare. It's rare that I can pick up a pattern and use the same size needle. Sometimes I get close, sometimes it's not.
Right.
And it just happens naturally.
Right. Yeah. I feel like for me, it was probably I had a lot of I have autoimmune disorders. I don't know if I said that. And sometimes they interfere with my abilities to do things. So I feel like I was just having a lot going on then. So either the stress or maybe just kind of calming myself down and kind of humbling myself, that helped me loosen up or tighten up or whatever, which way I went with the gauge tension. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that also plays, whatever's going on in your life can sometimes affect your knitting and your crochet.
I have a sweater that I knit many years ago, and I don't remember what was going on, but I can see the change in the tension.
Oh yeah.
And I think, what was it's probably best that I don't remember what was going on, but it's definitely there. Our feelings are who we are. It shows up in what we make one way or another.
Oh, for sure. And so I have a project it's been on my needles for a while, but I'll tell you why. I've had a project on my needles since 2010, because
Wait, okay, let me do math. Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah, because I am so annoyed with the yarn, but
But you haven't given up.
but I don't want to take it out what I've done. But I also don't want to use the yarn anymore because it was just so bad. I won't say the yarn was bad. I'll say those specific colors, and for some reason those batches were not as good as their other colors of that yarn. I'm not even going to mention the company or what yarn it was because I'm not trying to throw them any shade. I'm just going to let them know that some of their darker dye colors, the yarn would just fall apart. Yeah. And it wasn't a wool fiber or anything like that. It was like a cotton silk kind of blend, but it was only in the darker bits. And I was doing entrelac. Yeah.
That's
so you know that's why that has kind of been in a long timeout. But the reason why I brought it up is because before 2009, I used to knit through the back loop. And I didn't know that I was consistently knitting through the back loop because that's just how I was taught. My mom was a lefty and I'm a righty. And that's how she kind of learned to knit. So all my stitches are twisted. So I would have to get back into the swing of knitting through the back loop on my knit rows and then purling regularly as well. So that's another reason I'm like, oh, do I really want to do this? It's going to take me forever.
But you haven't given up. That's great. My longest knit right now, I've been working on, oh goodness, the half and half triangle wrap, the big size.
It is pretty big. So
for about, it's over 2 years. I'm probably getting close to 3. It is what it is. I pick it up, I put it down. Actually, it wasn't the sweater. It was the half and half triangle wrap that I can see the change in my tension.
Oh.
2 years of it.
Oh, boy.
I'm glad you're not giving up an entrelac. I have not given that a try. I
can't say it. I enjoy it.
Really?
I love entrelac. It's really fun to do, and especially if you have like any sort of yarn with a long color strand or round. That's fantastic. And I really enjoy doing it. I've even taught a class at my first yarn shop job. I taught a class on entrelac and I really had a good time. That sweater, just that yarn.
Entrelac scares me. I just haven't approached it. But that also brings us to our next question. What is one thing that scares you that you want to try? And it could be knitting related or otherwise.
I'm pretty sure that I have a short stack of things that have scared me and that I'm slowly ticking off my list and trying. First, and this kind of always kind of throws me for the loop because of my spatial awareness sometimes, is pockets.
Ooh. In sewing or knitting?
Well, sewing was the worst offense. The first offender. It was bothering me a little bit in knitting because I hadn't done it before, at least not a front inset kind of pocket before. But now we've since passed that, and we've mastered this. Side seam was easy enough to figure out, but I was just like, how do I place this? And then, but sewing pockets, and I always managed to mess that up. It just never failed, and including putting in zippers on those things, it just never fails. And speaking of zippers, I am definitely afraid of adding sewn ribbon and zippers to my knitting. I want to. I'm just a little like, oh, this is not gonna work. I know it's just all in my head.
I had that feeling too. So I knit this one giant cardigan. It had like cables on the side. It was really cute.
Oh, nice.
And the designer, she gave instructions on how to install the zipper. And so I'm watching everybody do it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I've got this. This isn't going to be a problem. I couldn't figure it out. So what I did is I took it to my local dry cleaner, who's also a tailor. She took one look at it and she's like, I can do it. I'm like, oh.
You are a lifesaver.
I have outsourced zippers. in knitting. I'll let somebody else do it for me.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, well, I'll see if one of my friends will let me outsource to them, because that's just one thing. And then I even though I have them in my patterns, I still am a little afraid of short rows. Yeah, just a little bit.
What is the fear of short rows? I'm interested.
It's just, I want to make sure that I get the math right, especially if I'm doing it over more than a certain amount of stitches. It's just like, where do I stop? So I'm constantly, when in this process, especially if I didn't have a tech editor before, like trying to figure out that math. I just need the formula, but I always have to look it up. One of those things that I just have to look up and make sure that the math is mathing.
And so you're talking about short rows in the back for the yoke?
Sometimes that, or if I wanted to add short rows for like waist shaping or any like bust dart type of thing, like I'm still trying to wrap my head around that specifically, for chest, like the chest and having a chestier body, and trying to do the vertical short rows or horizontal short rows. Like there's different types of short rows, and that really can drive you nuts.
There are Japanese short rows, German short rows.
Yes, there's also so many.
There are a lot. I have a confession to make. When I first started getting into garment knitting, I chose an easy, beginner-friendly pattern. And when I went to the pattern, I was knitting along, and then I got to the short row section. I had no idea what they were talking about. Like, as someone who was just new to knitting, just knitting, purling, make one right, make one left, seeing a short row kind of like blew my mind. It took me a while to understand exactly what it was and why I was making it.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing with me in socks. That was my first, I want to say, oh, I can't do this. I tried to make a sock so many times. And then one day I said to myself, just going to turn a heel. If I could turn a heel, I could make a sock. And that's what I did. I just followed the instructions like my friend told me. Shout out to my friend Diana Jordan. She was also a pattern designer, and we used to work together at my first yarn shop job. But yeah, she just said, just follow the pattern, and the instructions guided me. I finally figured that out too. So, there is hope for all of us who are afraid of something. Just try it anyway. And even if you fail, you try again.
The worst case is you rip it out.
Exactly.
That's what I love about knitting. You
Yeah.
messed up, you just rip it out, and you have beautiful yarn to use for something else.
But some people are just afraid to rip.
That's a whole nother topic.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. But people, yeah, I was one of those people. That's why.
Oh.
Now I don't care. I just rip. Like, okay, whatever. I'm going to be knitting anyway, so I'll just rip it out. But I feel like I should do a whole video on it.
Yes, you should. I think that's your next thing.
Just rip it out. Just start that. What's coming next on your design journey?
So right now I'm working on a couple of secret ones.
Okay.
So I just got the notification last week that I'll be doing the Year of Hats with Kelborn Woolens.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's a really awesome experience, and I'm really happy to be working with them and their crew. So my hat will hopefully be out next year, one of these months. They haven't told us who's being assigned what yet, so soon. And I'm also working on a couple of other things that are cooking with a few different designers, or I should say a few different dyers. So I've got Little Lionhead Knits. We're going to do a little collab together for next year. And then I'm also working with Sweater Weather Fibers. You can get her yarn by messaging her through Instagram, but it's going to be fun. And a lot of her wool products are sourced in the US, which is great for her. So not having to worry too much about all this tariff nonsense, unfortunately. Yeah, so she and I are going to work together to a cute little sweater pattern.
You sound like you have a busy 6 to 12 months ahead of you when it comes to knitting.
Yeah, I'm also a planner, so I've got too many ideas and just not enough time. But I try to plan out the year sort of. I'll also be working with ritual dyes as well for
Okay.
in the spring. So I usually try and space out things throughout the year and kind of work on them yearly. I'm not a fast knitter or a designer, I should say. Like I take my time with that. So yeah, I think I have about 5 or 6 collabs coming coming up throughout up until next year. Chelsea yarns and sweater weather fibers, little line head knits, NJ Fiberworks. She's a local dyer to me, but she does basically they're oaks, they're one-offs. But she'll do like in batches of like one-offs, and they're all gorgeous, and I want them all. Like oaks are my favorite thing ever. But I'll be working with her too, and then some shops I'm working with, Doylestown Forever Yarns, with Yan. So lots of fun things. Camilla Fiber Co. again too, because I just love their yarn. And Kelborn Woolens. Periwinkle Sheep is also on that list too. So yeah.
You are booked and busy.
Yeah.
So you have so much going on, and I know the Project Notes community would love to follow you and to see your progress and to keep up with your design releases. Where can they follow you? On Instagram, on social media, on Ravelry website? Let us know.
Oh yeah. So my Ravelry handle is Fuchsia12. You can also just search my name, Jessica Antonio, on there. And then if you want to follow me, a direct link would be on my Instagram page. I have a link tree on all my pages. I have a D-stash page for yarn and supplies like notions. I also have my main account where I post my happy mail.
Happy mail.
Yeah. And I also have my design account for testing test purposes. So yeah, anything is on my Instagram at fuchsia_12 knits with a Z. And yeah, there you go.
Okay, everyone, don't forget to follow Jessica. I'll put her ats on the screen. I'll also put them in the link down in the description box down below. I am wearing the Stick Together TDK, so I will put a link to that pattern in the description as well. Check it out. All of the testers just made really great samples, and the original was really beautiful to look at and to imagine what we could do with it as well. Jessica, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
Just thank you, Claudia. Thanks for reaching out and for testing for me and everything. It's been wonderful.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.